Hey guys, this is Eddie. Welcome to the Revision Room, the official podcast of the Green Dot Crew. I, of course, am Eddie. I'm joined by
Julian,
Brendan,
and Reese.
And let's see what we learned this week.
All right, that sounds really forced. We are going to have to try and revise the Revision Room.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I know. It sounds forced.
It's a working title.
Working title.
We're trying podcast audience of us. All right, so first up, we have a new member for our second episode of the podcast. Yeah. Julian, or Caramel Badger, as you'd like to be called.
Caramel Badger.
Yeah, when I first met
Top
Julian,
name.
that's how he introduced himself to me. It was Caramel Badger.
I didn't. Well, yeah, I'm Julian, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Julian.
Hi, Julian.
Guys, thank you for having me.
He does have 3 ciders in front of him.
I do. Very high potency. Very, very high.
Now, something we went over in the episode 00 was how we all got into gaming. Now, us three have already answered that, so how about you tell us, how did you originally get into gaming?
Well, the sad truth of it was that I was alone for a lot of my childhood, and I didn't have any siblings, or I didn't really have many social interactions. So for me, it was a case of actually immersing myself into a world where I was loved, in power, and had many opportunities. So yes, that is how I got into gaming. As tragic and as melodramatic as that sounds.
So how old were you when you got your first console or whatever? Like, did you get given it as a gift? Did your parents get it for you or something like that?
My PC was just good enough to play Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and that was how it got started. Amazing gem. Yeah. You guys played Sonic?
No, I clearly haven't. The Sonic t-shirt I'm wearing.
Well, you see chicks with Guns N' Roses shirts, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same deal.
All right, well, and what are you playing now? You're on PS4?
I am on PS4. Times have changed. I'm playing Dragon Age Inquisition. My character is a lesbian demon witch.
It's really an expression of your own innocence.
Exactly. Just living out my fantasy. Yeah. Speaking of Inquisition, we had not so great reviews from Reese over here. What did you feel about Inquisition, Reese?
No. Don't get me wrong. I really like Inquisition, but I just do not have the available time in my life to allocate to that game properly. It's like I wouldn't start a relationship with someone that I'm never going to see because it's unfair to them and it's unfair to me. So with Inquisition, I love what it's trying to do, but right now I'm just not at the stage of my life where I could commit to it.
That's fair.
Because, like I told Reese last week.
Because I do date women. They take up more of that time.
Like I told Reese last week.
And great
Inquisition.
TV journalists.
Inquisition really gets into it at about the 30-hour mark.
And at that point, I already want to be having sex. So.
You got to wait at least 60 hours for that.
Not if you're a Witcher, though. I mean,
then again, you can always just go back to a previous save and start again because that's how women work, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Alrighty, sweet. So, Julian, do you feel like there's anything else you'd like to share with us? Tell us about why you joined the T.G.C.
The T.G.C. Well, I didn't actually have much of a choice. My friendship with Reese was at stake, and so it was either do or die.
You were
and
drafted
that
as
is
you
why I'm here. I was drafted. But no, it is a fun little crew where you get to geek out over our hidden passions. So yeah.
And our planning of Star Wars in December.
That's right. So IMAX tickets.
Yeah, I reckon that Avengers 2 is going to be like the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, April 2nd is the IMAX release date, by the way.
April 2nd.
Really?
God, so close now.
Oh, shit, I thought it was the end of April.
I checked the IMAX website yesterday. I think it's April 2nd. We can double check later.
Right. Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
So that brings us to this week's news. Does anyone want to share in particular? I know that there's a very popular Power Rangers reimagining out at the moment. It's ultra-violent. It's about 12, 13 minutes long.
yeah, which we just watched. And
Unless it's been taken off the air already because they've been sued, because apparently there wasn't an agreement for that to happen.
well, what's happened is the director of the Dread movie has got a few big name actors.
James
Big
Van Der
name.
Beek and Katie Sackhoff, better known as Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica.
And decided, hey, I'm going to make a short Power Rangers reimagining. It's it's good. Go find it somehow. YouTube, Vimeo, wherever you've got to
It's
go.
like a mixture between... What did you say? It was like a mixture between Blade Runner and...
I did not say this.
I heard someone say it was like a mix between the remake of... what is it?
It's like Blade Runner and Minority Report.
Yeah.
No, it's really similar to that live-action Pokemon spoof from a couple of years ago, where it was like the really scary and violent version of Pokemon. It's kind of that's the best way how to describe it. No, it was really good. It was really sort of good, gritty reboot, kind of like playing on the whole like nostalgic remake stuff, and it took what is otherwise a you could probably make the assessment and say it's a very like campy and over the top Japanese show.
Well,
It's really
the
cool,
thing-
but like what I'm hoping is that they don't get sued and this video doesn't get taken down, and maybe they can get the rights to it and make like
It's
a mini series or something
It's
out of
basically
it.
the Deadpool thing from last year.
So
Yeah.
basically, because this has come out, and Saban, who brought the Power Rangers and Samurai Pizza Cats from Japan over to the West, he's
Not happy about it.
not happy at all.
But he's also an unsung hero.
He's also loaded with money and doesn't really need another, couple million in his pocket. But
Yeah, but you know how rich people are. They want to stay rich.
Well, of course. But he's kind of outraged at
People watching
this
his
has gone,
stuff.
that this has come out without his permission, and it's taking away from the whole Super Sentai version of Power Rangers.
And made it enjoyable to a broad audience, which is
well,
really
look,
the
look,
true
look.
crime of all of this.
Power Rangers was enjoyable until they transformed into cars, and
Because,
it was just Transformers but with people.
No. Power Rangers was enjoyable until you were old enough to watch Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Speaking of Dragon Ball Z,
No.
All right. So
Pokemon is about the same age group, I'd say.
It really is.
but Pokemon holds up. You can continue on with it, whereas Power Rangers doesn't really.
I rewatched Pokemon the first season last year, and to be quite honest, I was terrified by how many similarities it had to Django Unchained.
Okay. You got to expand on this. Please.
Explain. Extrapolate.
Now we get to the meat of the podcast.
Okay.
So skip to 47 minutes if you don't want to hear how Pokemon is like Durango.
Okay. Now, for those of you who are unaware, Django Unchained is Quentin Tarantino's love letter to slavery. And when you watch Pokemon, on the surface, it appears of this little prepubescent boy getting kicked out of the house by his mum so she can bang his teacher, while he goes off to fight and capture dangerous animals. When you peel back that first layer, you realize that Pokemon is basically just an analogy of someone going out and capturing animals so they can fight on his behalf.
Yeah.
But capturing is the wrong word. Enslaving is a better adjective to describe the actions of Ash Ketchum.
Would you say that his mother sent him off probably expecting him to die?
No, it's really similar to what the Americans were doing in the 18th century, where part of a rite of passage, I assume, was to sail to Africa, bring back your slaves, and start your farm.
Oh my god.
I'm not entirely sure about that part of history. I just remember the good part where the British stopped it. But there was a period of, ambiguity about what was actually occurring then. But there's an episode... Now, this is where it gets to the important part. There is an episode of Pokemon in which they come across a trainer, and you can tell he's a really hardcore trainer because he literally has his Pokemon in, harnesses that are designed for pressure holds. Mm-hmm. And so he's quite literally, literally he's, putting them in shackles and chains to make them stronger so they can fight better. Exact same way, and in the exact same method that Django Unchained did. Wow. So I'm just saying, when you watch
Pokemon ripped off Django Unchained. That's what I mean.
I think
14 years later.
I'm pretty sure Pokemon came first.
It doesn't matter. Chicken or the egg, that's irrelevant. What's important is the fact that Pokemon is quite shamelessly glorifying slavery.
Now,
But Django is more about the freedom from slavery. It's about
Is
how
that the
a
message
slave...
you got from that movie?
The scene where
he's our
Django
current
whips...
member of the podcast.
That scene where...
We can talk about ethnic stuff now and not be racist.
That's right. I give you permission, guys. That scene where Django gets out the whip and just goes batshit on that one guy in that wig. to me, that was almost like Quentin Tarantino saying, all right, niggers, you've had shit happen to you your whole life.
And Quentin
Okay.
Tarantino would say niggers.
I'm quoting
Tarantino. That guy, he literally went on TV and tried to act cool.
Oh, yeah.
That was embarrassing. Yeah, so that moment was him saying, all right, this is this one fictitious moment where you get to exercise that role reversal in a fantasy setting where you actually get to be in power, and here are all the white people who have to succumb to you. So that was how I viewed that as a representation of the rest of the movie.
Now, I'd just like to point out that in Reese's analogy of Pokemon, there is also an episode where James becomes a transvestite for literally no reason. And one where a Tentacruel decides to destroy a city.
Japan.
But,
Has anyone figured out how fucked up that little Pokemon is? That it literally it wears the skull of its mother.
Oh,
no,
Cubone.
Cubone. Now, there's many theories.
No, because I had this
True
argument last year, and on the official Pokemon website,
It's in the Pokedex.
it is in the Pokedex.
Yeah.
It is in the canon
Yeah.
of the show. And I'm like, at what point does it get the skull?
Now-
Does it kill the
it get
mother
the skull in
as a rite of
utero?
passage? Or does it wait for the mother to die and then adopt it as a mantelpiece? Or is it like a predator thing where it's wearing it as a trophy for killing
It
its
takes
mother?
its skull during utero.
Oh, just a bit of post-mortem incest. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just saying that Pokemon itself, there is some really dark shit happening in that show.
Now, the thing with that, with Cubone wearing the skull of its mother, there's also, if you look very, very deep into a Pokedex and link up a few things here and there, it's also kind of revealed that a Cubone is also a failed Charmander.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Go on.
Yeah. Ask me to go on. If Khalil was here, he'd be able to go on for about 40 minutes.
Call a friend.
Yeah, is this like Millionaire? Can I call a
I
friend?
actually want to know more about this.
I'll send you the link. I'll find it all out, and I'll put it up as supplementary content. But yeah, it's really, really,
Contact on the fucking
it's
Facebook post.
really, really interesting. But yeah, Pokemon. Look, I mean, no matter how you look at it, it's Pokemon. It's fun. There's also a Pokemon that's like a barrel, a bucket of hypodermic needles. But
Okay, so we've gotten a little bit off track with the week's news.
no one saw this happening.
How about we...
I get really enthusiastic when talking about slavery. I'm sorry.
That's right, master. That's right.
So this has been derailed pretty quickly, and there's been horrible incident.
Worth it.
So this week's reviews for the Order 1886 have come out.
Yeah.
I personally haven't seen it, but I know you guys definitely have.
Now, this raises a really interesting question because I haven't played the game yet, and I was going to buy the game last week, but because of my situation with work, money is slightly tighter than I would like it to be, and so I was actually...
Well, it's your own fault for buying that damn Thor figurine.
that was paid off ages ago. And you know what? That's brought me luck so far. So I was actually waiting for the reviews of this game to come out before I purchased it, because I was on the fence a little bit about it. And because the views were so overwhelmingly either negative or, mid-level meh, I'm like, you know what, maybe this isn't worth $80-90. So I've got a question for you guys. Do you base your games on review scores?
No, not at all.
Not entirely. If I get really excited about a game, when it's coming up,
So you mean you get artificially hyped?
not so much that, I tend to keep an eye on it. I can get excited about a game, and then I might see something that goes, that kind of ruins my excitement, but I'll still try the game out.
Yeah. When you say try the game out, you mean you'll buy the game?
Yes.
Okay.
But, essentially, if I get really excited about a game, I usually will get it and play it.
Yeah.
If I don't like it, I'll just take it back or whatever and get a different game.
Yeah.
I don't really base my purchases on review scores.
Julian?
I would look more about what the reviewer actually has to say about the game rather than the score itself, because
When we say review score, though, we mean the entire process. So,
Yeah.
So on a review.
The review.
the review
On
itself,
a review,
absolutely, I would look at the reasons why the reviewer has said what he said, because a lot of first-person shooters, they get high scores, and then when you read the review and you realise that they love the game, but at the same time, it's pretty much the same.
That's the thing, though. The review is usually, if it's a series, series game like Call of Duty or Halo or whatever, it's usually given to someone who is already a fan of the series to review the game.
Yeah, because of experience.
So, of course, they're probably going to give it a higher score than someone's going into it for the first time.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that can also work against you, though, because, like, if you give a racing game to someone who absolutely loves a racing game, like, I love Forza. If you got me to review Forza 6, I mean, I'm going to give it a high score because I love Forza. But
Bias.
Exactly, it's bias. But yeah, it's hard to give a game to the right reviewer who's going to give it a fair and balanced.
And let's be fair. I mean, the organisations we're talking about are Polygon, Kotaku, IGN, that sort of high level publisher, and they don't give these sort of games to people who dislike the style of the game. And with the Order in particular, the reason why the review was so negative was because of the length. And you can make an argument that a long game doesn't necessarily mean it's a good game.
Yeah.
See, Alien Isolation, people were going nuts about that because
it was a 20-hour game. It should have been an 8-hour game.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that a 6.5, 7-hour game is bad. Then again, a 6.5, 7-hour game with zero replayability, that's a little bit harder to swallow for $80, $90 as opposed to, say, a 3-hour game like Gone Home or Journey or even the Telltale type stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if this game was $50, then instant buy. But I'm a little bit hesitant about something that, all right, I'm going to get an afternoon of, possibly polarizing enjoyment out of it, and then I'm just going to trade it in for the next thing.
Yeah.
Hey, if you beat it fast enough, you can return it instead of trading it in.
I feel bad about that, though.
I mean, in Australia, you have a week. Well, no, don't feel bad. eBay Games and that have that rule for a reason.
Yeah.
Although that one time that I traded in 7 games continuously, by the 8th game, the guy was like, "All right, mate, this is."
Yeah, they get suspicious if you do it too many times in a row.
Coming back to replayability, it's important that we understand that everyone has different forms of replayability. Beating your high score, which you establish in your first playthrough, is not the same definition of replayability as someone else would. Let's say Prince of Persia games, which have no replayability in that score sense. I've played them at least 10 times over, almost each iteration. Because
I need to go
so
back to that
fun.
because Sands of Time is such a fantastic game.
Good. So good. And they're also different. That
game, it had such an amazing concept as the remake. I'm surprised that they haven't done a remake on the new generation.
I know, it's crazy. It would sell like hotcakes. I mean, there was about 4 years ago this leaked image of an Egyptian-esque Prince of Persia or Babylonian setting, which never actually came to fruition. So.
Yeah, I guess that's because of the Prince of Persia game that came out where he wasn't actually the prince and the game absolutely tanked.
I
need to say something. Going back to Django Unchained and Pokemon.
Oh, God damn it, we got away from that.
This is
just
quick.
like slavery, we got away from it.
The German dude in Django Unchained is literally going around getting bounties the same way Ash is getting badges.
Yeah.
So coming back to...
Anyway, so the way I look at
I literally just facepalmed.
Well, I'm saying the similarities are there on the screen, guys. You can live in denial all you want, but Pokemon is racist.
Let me underail this again.
I mean, re-rail.
So,
I think you're in the wrong career.
So with this whole thing of basing a game purchase on a review score, I mean, a lot of games I like get terrible scores. I mean, Drakengard 3 was absolutely panned. Dynasty Warriors games are like, it's a 6 at best. Dead Space 2, I mean, it's a Dead Space game. You know what you're going to get. Me and one of my mates, we've played all the Dead Space games, including the one on the Wii, and 100%ed them all multiple times. It's a thing of, you like what you like. You don't really, like, no matter what someone says about something, you're going to like it. It's like, Reese doesn't like anime, but I do.
I like anime.
Alright, come on. Name me 5.
No.
Do you like anime or do you like westernized anime?
I like the one.
Four kids dubs don't count.
Because
I just like whenever I just like it's not that I dislike anime, but all right, fuck you.
And Django Unchained is not an anime, just in case.
Well, I really
You're
shouldn't.
getting that confused with Pokemon.
Because I was going to pull my similarities between Pulp Fiction and Dragon Ball Z, but it's clear that's not going to
Say what again? What?
Cell Arc was best arc.
So continuing on with this week's news, Rooster Teeth Productions has finished principal photography on their first feature film. That happened. They finished photography.
Laser Team?
Yeah,
Laser
they finished shooting about a month and a half ago, and they've released their first teaser trailer, which you've all watched, and we'll include a link or whatever if we.
Yeah, we'll include.
Yeah, but you guys have all seen it, haven't you?
Nope.
I haven't
no
had
idea
a
what
look at
Laser
it.
Team
I'm still waiting for day 5, which I've been hearing about for like the past 2 years.
Hey guys, we're back from a quick impromptu break, and we are talking about
Laser Team.
Laser Team by Rooster Teeth, which is their first feature-length film. Eddie, would you like to explain to Julian or Caramel Badger what Laser Team is?
Okay, just before we came back, Julian asked, why is this notable? Understandable. Some people haven't heard of Rooster Teeth. It's understandable.
Thank you.
A lot of people haven't heard of Rooster Teeth. They're mostly an online company.
We get that you're just not into cool stuff.
Oh, man.
Rooster Teeth is the company behind the internet's longest running web series, Red vs. Blue.
Yes, that I have heard of.
And in the last years, they've been branching out into more live action stuff, and they've done The Gauntlet, which is like a game show that they had. They've done 2 seasons of that, and now they're trying to branch. They were recently purchased by Full Screen Entertainment, and now they're trying to branch out more. They've finished filming Laser Team, and they've done some filming of another feature-length film that they want to make called Day 5. Or is that going to be a series?
I think that's going to be a series at the moment. It's been in... Basically,
it's been in production for about 2 or 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
Because there's a very famous part from it where they actually shut down the main street of Austin to do a shot, which was there's a lot of people.
175,000 people with zombies or something. I think it was.
No, the concept behind it is it's the 5th day. That's why it's called Day 5.
Yeah.
It's the 5th day of some sort of virus or some outbreak or whatever, where if you fall asleep you die.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people in it drinking a lot of coffee. And...
Yeah. So essentially, they have this one shot. They have this shot of the main street where they have hundreds of extras all standing there, and then it cuts to their main actor looking out over it, and then it cuts back and basically all the extras are just lying on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really... Try and find it. Just type in Day 5 on a search engine and you're more than likely to find it. It's really, really well shot for what it is as well at the time. Because Rooster Teeth was still a pretty small company back then in regards to how big they are now. I mean, they just purchased the Inside Gaming crew, which are now rebranded as Funhouse. It's Funhaus.
Just in case you guys don't know how to spell Funhouse.
Well,
it's a strange spelling.
It's the German spelling.
Yeah.
The Inside Gaming crew aren't changing, but with Rooster Teeth's being purchased by Full Screen Media,
a lot of people were worried that Full Screen owning Rooster Teeth and Rooster Teeth owning the Inside Gaming guys, a lot of people that were fans of them were afraid that because Rooster Teeth is a more sort of family-friendly thing, I mean, they do some risky stuff, but a lot of their fans were worried that the former Inside Gaming guys would have to mellow down.
Yeah, and that's not the case.
That's not the case.
case.
The higher-ups at Rooster Teeth are friends with the guys at Inside Gaming, the guys at Funhouse, and they love what they do, and they bought them because they love what they do, and they didn't want to change what they were doing.
Exactly.
All right. Now we've had a conversation about Ruby. Now
We're really sinking our teeth into it.
we are.
Ah.
Yep.
Man,
Now you guys want to go? You guys want to go stick your beak over here?
Oh.
Your
Here's-
puns
here's
are
a-
horrible. Please stop.
here's a bit of an image thing for an audio-only podcast.
So guys, I'm gonna like create a theatre of the mind moment.
Ooh.
On the TV screen behind us is an image of one has-been Canadian comedian, a guy with glasses, and a woman who's way too attractive to be with either of them. But more importantly, the man of the moment, Peter Dinklage.
Rocking that mullet.
Guess who Peter Dinklage is playing in the upcoming movie Pixel by Adam Sandler?
Shaft.
No.
There's no point
Oh.
asking me.
Billy Mitchell. He is playing Billy Mitchell.
Millie.
What?
Peter
Millie Mitchell.
Peter Dinklage is playing Billy Mitchell in the upcoming movie Pixel.
Oh my god.
That alone, I didn't even know that it was an Adam Sandler movie. I didn't have to know anything about it. I just had to have been told that sentence. And my money is going into that movie. I want to see how Peter Dinklage handles Billy Mitchell. Who, if you're unfamiliar with who Billy Mitchell is, he's basically the greatest live-action unintentional villain ever. And he was the antagonist in two documentaries released in 2007 called Chasing Ghosts and King of Kong. Both about...
King of Kong, which came first? Sorry.
They literally released within 3 months of each other. Both documentaries focus on sort of like the 1980s arcade culture and looks at a bunch of old white men desperately clinging to glories that no one gives a shit about, outside of the fact that it is hilarious about how seriously they take this crap.
Not to mention, once those two documentaries came out, all the records that those guys were still holding at that point got absolutely smashed
I thought
by
they were still-
newcomers.
I thought they were
Yeah.
still holding them.
No,
No, I didn't.
Billy Mitchell is retired now because he doesn't hold any more of his records because they all got absolutely smashed by newcomers.
I
All
want
Japanese.
to watch that Rocky documentary where Billy Mitchell comes back and he's like training with his like half-sized squad, and he's just playing Eye of the Tiger on
Yeah,
repeat.
see him running across
With
temples.
a tape deck player.
But he's also singing it out loud
Yes.
because he's so pretentious. He's like, I'm the eye of the tiger and I'm the thrill of the night. So, anyway, I just want to draw your attention to that because that's one movie that the T.G.C girl is going to have to do as an outing because I just think that Peter Dinklage playing Billy Mitchell is the best thing I've heard all year.
Peter Dinklage is playing anything, basically.
Well, apparently there's a movie from like 2002 where he plays a French militant communist. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. God, yes.
That's, until the other week, I didn't realize his like main.
He was actually a dwarf.
No,
Peter Dinklage is a dwarf?
I
You're like,
thought,
CGI is so good.
I thought he was a Lannister. He's the main supporting character in Death at a Funeral.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
He
That was
plays
very funny.
he plays the deceased father's gay lover.
Yeah. He plays the deceased father's gay lover.
What's shocking is that this man isn't lampooned more. I mean, he's like if Nicolas Cage was serious, that people treated him seriously. It's
Okay,
basically what
now-
Peter Dinklage is
now,
now.
Reece,
The thing is, he's got a lot of style and intelligence and the wit to back him up. So
Whoa,
he has a lot of
Brendan.
natural charm.
He has a
Brendan,
British accent.
He just inferred that Nicolas Cage doesn't have style, wit, or intelligence.
I mean, he's not wrong, but
Sir,
And
sir,
why the fuck are
Nicolas Cage has an Oscar.
I think there's about to be a duel. That's happening. Does one of you want to get a glove and a box of dueling pistols or something?
I have swords in my bedroom.
He does. He also has a bunch of Nerf guns. But, no, I mean, Nicolas Cage, we're all kind of fans of Nicolas Cage.
Apparently not.
Except for
love
Caramel
Nicolas Cage.
Badger over
I
here.
love Nicolas Cage, but in an ironic way, not because he's actually.
Don't get me wrong,
Great.
he is not good. He is
Whoa,
terrible in
whoa,
like
whoa,
80% of the movies he's in.
Yeah, but that 20% he is in, I'm just saying.
Automatic redemption.
The 20%.
Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't have a good strike rate
Yeah,
as Nicolas Cage.
Of course. But,
Leo hasn't won an Oscar because he doesn't do the whole politics bullshit to try and win an Oscar. He just sticks with his stellar performances and gets snuffed.
it's because he's The
Snuffed
Departed.
every year.
Are
You
you
know
talking
what?
about campaigning, or are you talking about?
He doesn't campaign for an Oscar.
Sure.
He doesn't do the whole politics bullshit. He just tries to rely on his stellar performances.
Yeah.
and apparently that isn't enough.
Interstellar. Wait, no, it's Inception. Fuck!
You ruined your own
I
joke.
had a brain fart. I thought he was an Interstellar, not Inception.
but
If only we were talking about McConaughey.
But it's okay because Nicolas Cage is just a national treasure.
Okay.
But I think, Reese, you should pitch people on our Nicolas Cage God of War movie.
Alright. I have an idea for Nicolas... Actually, I have an idea for every Nicolas Cage movie in which Nicolas Cage plays every character. So I'm going to pitch the podcast on 2 movie ideas.
Is this literally like he plays a character and then they do another... They film it separately, or is he like...
No.
Is the same shot? Like changing, is he like changing wigs and putting on like a bow tie or something?
I'm thinking more of that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean 3 where Johnny Depp is just like by himself.
Yes.
Alright, so I have an idea for a God of War film starring Nicolas Cage, in which Nicolas Cage plays not only Kratos, but Mars and every other character in that movie.
Zeus,
And his daughter.
Athena,
And his daughter, yeah.
his daughter.
But with slightly longer hair when he plays the daughter.
No, bald. Completely bald.
So, if you guys want to sponsor a God of War movie with Nicolas
But
Cage,
I
we'd
wouldn't
be
ta-
more than happy.
But I think this is a perfect opportunity to come out with the real Nicolas Cage movie I have, which is one I've been working on for quite a few years now.
Copyright the Green Dell Crew.
Yeah. Now, this Nicolas Cage movie is going to be called The Big Bang. And what it is
God.
it's going to be about the duality of human nature, where Nicolas Cage plays both God and Satan, directed by Michael Bay.
Okay.
So,
You had me up until Michael Bay.
I think that Michael Bay is the only man that could do this movie justice.
And M. Night Shyamalan?
And incorporate... No, he lost his chance. And incorporate the amount of product placement I want in this movie to make it super profitable.
How about your director man crush, Joss
the
Whedon?
Bible.
How about your director man crush, Joss Whedon?
No, Josh Whedon.
You couldn't do it.
Josh Whedon will class this up way too much. All right, so this is theatre of the mind moment again, guys.
Okay.
All right, it's absolutely white screen. Nothing is going on there.
Oh.
And then in the distance, there's a truck, and the truck is coming towards us. And we zoom in on the truck, and it's Nicolas Cage behind the wheel of the truck with devil horns and fire. It's like a hell truck from Mad Max. And he's just zooming towards the camera, and it's shaking, it's getting faster and faster. And then pull back again, white screen, in the distance, another truck. This time it's Nicolas... This time...
Okay. This
time it is also Nicolas Cage.
So we've killed Julian.
Composed. Alright, this time it is also Nicolas Cage, and he's driving, but it's way more serene because he's God. So, like... And anyway, like, the truck cabin is just radiating natural white light, but he's also zooming really fast towards the other truck.
Is he making one of his typical Nicolas Cage faces?
No, not that. He's just determined. Like, he knows what he has to do, and God's going to see it through. Pull back, the 2 trucks coming in from different sides of the screen, and they're sort of slowly getting closer and closer together, but you realise they're only going slowly closer and closer together because it's really far away.
Yeah.
Then it zooms in on them and goes again. It's close up of their faces. As they pull out a gun, Nicolas Cage pulls out an Uzi as both God and Satan and puts the seatbelt on, but then decides, no, takes the seatbelt off.
Okay.
Camera cuts out again. The trucks are getting even closer and closer and closer, and all of a sudden you realise that they're about to collide. Just as they're about to collide, they drop down the gears. They both determine, they rev the engines, fire shoots out of the Satan truck, and light shoots out of the God truck, and all of a sudden, both trucks collide in a big bang. And that's how the movie starts.
Okay. And then
This is how it starts.
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
gosh.
Then during the credit sequence, when it's, created by Rhys Evans and the T.G.C., it's going to have Nicolas Cage as both God and Satan doing sort of a Neo Agent Smith thing from the Matrix,
Okay.
shooting at each other as they go around in circles. And as they go in circles, the planets and the solar system just come shooting out. Yeah. So,
Okay. And then is Nicolas Cage going to be playing every single citizen of Earth as well?
well, no, because it's
No,
not going
it's
to...
Citizens with Nicolas Cage masks.
No, because it's not going to... Well, when you think about it, man was created in God's image. It's only logical.
So you've sold me on this. We need to put up a Kickstarter.
I have my meeting with like Harvey Weinstein. We're going to just brush out all the details.
So, all right, we should put up a Kickstarter for this because I'm sure someone's going to give us at least $1. I'm sure he can.
I'm sure if Nicolas Cage sees a script, he'll take it.
Oh yeah.
Well, if I'm just a podcast at this point, I'll do anything for it. How amazing would that be? Like, can you bring your Oscar? He's like, no, I pawned it. I sold it to Leonardo DiCaprio to make him feel better.
Well, speaking of Oscars, Oscars this week.
Yeah, segue.
Great segue.
Yeah.
Host Snatched.
Yeah.
10 transition.
So, Julian, you're the audiophilic and visual-philic movie buff here.
He's just a philic.
Well, I have not seen over half the Best Picture winners, so I'm not going to make any comments on that.
According to a recent article in E! Entertainment, neither have the Oscar critics. So,
That
okay.
is true. That is true.
Does that mean I can be an Oscar critic? Because I haven't seen any of
You're
them.
too young.
Yeah, you're not
You
60.
need to be a pensioner.
Oh, well, I can speed that up.
But surprisingly, with the amount of hype that Nightcrawler was getting and the amount of favourable feedback, that it had very little, or if no, nominations whatsoever.
Yeah. Apparently, that movie wasn't pushed in the campaign season. The company that put it up didn't want to spend the money on it, which I think is bullshit.
Sure.
Hey, everyone, Brendan's got to go take a piss.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Because I've been polite.
Yeah, so apparently movies like movie Nightcrawler, there was no push behind it at the campaign level. However, I am happy to...
Sorry, just to interrupt for a minute. Reese, when you disappeared last week, you died in a snowmobile accident. So how did Brendan just die?
Erotic asphyxiation. That's why he was so quiet for the last 2 minutes.
Japanese. Alright, okay.
He got a tentacle and he just wrapped it around himself and just pulled. Yeah, that joke had levels. I am very, very happy that Birdman won because that was a superb movie. Michael Keaton. I haven't seen what was the movie for the guy who won Best Oscar? What was it called? The Stephen Hawking's film.
The Theory of Everything.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, so I want to reserve judgment. But out of all the performances I saw last year, Michael Keaton and Jake Gyllenhaal were by far the two best performances. But, I'm happy that Birdman got recommended for Best Picture because that movie was extraordinary.
What did you guys think about Cumberbatch in Imitation Game?
It was solid but unspectacular.
Unfortunately.
I found that he was basically just playing a more mild version of Sherlock, crossed with a little bit of Sheldon Cooper, and a touch of Stephen Hawkins from when Benedict Cumberbatch did Hawkins back in 2006.
Sure.
I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't think that his performance was necessarily that outstanding for it. It was very middle of the road, very safe performance by him.
But then again, in terms of exposure, most audiences wouldn't be familiar with Cumberbatch in a lead role, playing a protagonist. So for him to actually be in the spotlight for once, that sort of... It wasn't necessarily better than the other performances, but finally people get to see what he's really capable of.
That's kind of an interesting point, like how exposed is Benedict Cumberbatch at the moment. I would say that Benedict Cumberbatch is almost overexposed. When you think about...
He's not a household name. He's not a household name.
Well, no, but he wouldn't be a household name from his Alan Turing movie either, because that movie wasn't exactly a massive commercial hit. I think it did 40-50 million. But I think that his performance in Sherlock in particular made him a household name. Not to mention, he was in Wrath of Khan. That was a major AAA, a major blockbuster
as the antagonist.
As the antagonist. He's been in quite a number of movies. He was in 12 Years a Slave, wasn't he, last year?
He was the voice of Smaug the dragon in The Hobbit.
So, I think that Benedict Cumberbatch is doing okay for himself. And once he plays Doctor Strange...
Doctor Strangelove. Doctor Strange.
Doctor
Strangelove is a completely different thing.
And they remake that Kubrick film. But yeah, I think that when he plays Doctor Strange, I've got a strange feeling that Marvel...
A doctor
You've
feeling.
got a strange feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Love how we
So anyway...
I've got a feeling that Marvel is going to try to, position him as to take over from Tony Stark and take over from Robert Downey Jr. as kind of face of Marvel.
That's going to be huge shoes to fill.
if anyone could do it for as far as like creating a character and having the necessary acting skills, it would be him.
But the character itself is not that important.
The problem with
But neither
replacing
was Iron Man before 2008.
Yeah, but the problem with replacing Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is most people these days, when you mention Iron Man, the first thing that pops into your head is Robert Downey Jr.'s face.
Yeah, it's true, but Robert Downey Jr. is not necessarily going to be with the series. From
I understand that, yeah.
So it just wouldn't surprise me if they position Benedict Cumberbatch as being the new star of the Marvel-verse.
Okay.
But it actually leads to an interesting question about Spider-Man, which there's a new rumor coming out saying that Spider-Man will not be Peter Parker. It will be...
Good.
Miles Morales?
Yes.
Nice.
Which, in that case...
Danny Glover?
Tying it back to Community.
Danny Glover.
By Danny Glover, I really mean Donald Glover. Because because Danny Glover is quite old by now. And he is way too old for this shit, so...
But I think
He
that,
could pull it
I think that Donald Glover personally would make a superb Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Hashtag Donald for Spidey.
Yeah, exactly. So TGC, we've got your back, mate. If you want to kick us like a verse in your next song, Childish Gambino.
I'm sure he could fit one line about us being drunk somewhere.
So I'm interested. What do you guys think about Spider-Man being black?
Well, it's been in the comics, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
But comics that no one's read.
No, okay, now, I may be the only one here that's actually read Spider-Man comics in general.
Yeah, probably.
Shock horror,
I've read
right?
Ultimate.
Okay, so in Ultimate, Spider-Man was a black person. Doesn't I know, right? Doesn't
You say it like it's a bad thing, Brendan.
No, it doesn't affect the story at all. You could still tell.
Yeah, it doesn't affect
matter
the
who
story.
you
It's
are.
just someone else
Exactly.
as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's ask an interesting question here. Well, since we're talking about serious, hard-hitting issues, do you think that... All right, so we've just had the Spider-Man... We've had 2 Spider-Man movies that were...
A reboot
that were moderately well-received, but were not blockbusters in the amount of money they made.
Andrew Garfield did a fantastic job.
They were placeholder films.
The best Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was able to pull off the nerdy, but also like sort of cool.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that per se, because that's not something I'm trying to get at right now. What I'm trying to get at is, how do you guys feel about Marvel deliberately changing Spider-Man from Peter Parker to what's his new name?
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales. How do you feel about them deliberately doing that just to try and diversify the cast from white men called Chris?
Well, I mean, it's not a bad thing. If you look at... I'm going to go back to the comics here for reference. The Spider-Man 2099 comics, Miguel O'Hara was a half Latino, half black person who was turned into Super Spider-Man. He was also, if you read the comics and managed to make it all the way to the end, he was basically the only coloured person that shows up in the comics. I don't know why they didn't make a bigger issue of that, because it was the 90s and they could have. But no, like, they can go for a coloured Spider-Man, and I think Donald Glover is more than suited for the part of that.
I totally agree.
We've seen his...
I have a man crush on Donald Glover.
Well, I mean, look, now, we're the Greendale crew. We obviously love Community. His improv in Community, he goes all out. He put all of his performances when he's on screen it's 110%.
The man is
the most
immensely talented. If you look at his stand-up comedy, if you look at his music, if you look at his interviews, he's incredibly talented. Yeah, he's 30 Rock. He's an incredibly talented man. So I would love if Marvel actually went down that direction, because it would be good if Marvel had more than one black character on screen.
Yeah, and oversaturation as well, because you've just had 2 average white males playing Peter Parker to have a third of the exact same mold without anything substantial to diversify him, besides any physical.
And what it would also mean is it means that they could bypass that bloody Peter Parker origin story, because that's the last thing I want to see again. It's their third movie.
They were talking about a high school introduction, so
I don't want them to do that. I don't want to see Peter Parker in high school. I want to see Peter Parker as a university student.
In his prime.
Yeah. Back when he was like sexy ab Peter Parker.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I reckon I personally would be quite happy if Marvel went down this route, because it would be a ballsy move. It would be ballsy for Marvel to be like, hey, we just got Spider-Man back, but guess what? Not the Spider-Man you were expecting. You're going to pay $500 million to watch this anyway. Let's do it.
I want to bring that up, because with the Avengers and its immense popularity and success, with Marvel reacquiring Spider-Man from Sony Pictures, now in the Avengers comics and Civil War, in Civil War, Spider-Man plays a massive part in Civil War about halfway through.
But to be fair, the Civil War...
Where Spider-Man joins...
Now, you might not want to spoil this, because some people haven't seen it.
We could talk about the Civil War comic. It's been out for like 6-7 years now.
Just go. No. Yeah, go.
No, let's avoid spoilers.
Okay, we won't go into too much about spoilers, but let's just say that I've read Civil War a few months ago. It was hyped up to be something extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
I found it to be a very mediocre run because it suffered from what so much of the Marvel stuff suffers from, which is a constant desire to just keep throwing characters into the mix.
Yeah. Well, even so, if you're not so much of a fan of reading like comics and whatever, go play Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2.
Yep. That tells you the storyline perfectly.
That entire game is based around the Marvel Civil War.
And the Marvel Civil War, in theory, is interesting, and you can see... I mean, okay, it's not a spoiler to say the siege between the Marvel Civil War is basically the battle between Captain America and Iron Man, between, essentially privacy and
the government tries to bring in a bill where superheroes have to register their superhero name and their
property
and their secret identity.
And that's in response to all the crap that the superheroes have been doing. And there's one really, really good run, which I hope to God that they do, which is a bunch of amateur superheroes destroy and kill a primary school with a bunch of kids. And then there is an offshoot run of the Civil War where they basically talk to one of those surviving superheroes, and it's him dealing with the guilt over what happened. I think that the Marvel Universe went into that, and they looked at the broader picture. So, The Dark Knight covered it briefly. That whole idea of, vigilantes being inspired by the actions of these heroes and wanting to do good themselves. And what that means when they don't have control, they don't have oversight, and how that leads to
And what exactly is the definition between hero, vigilante, and criminal?
Exactly. And I think that if... the MCU delved into that in Civil War, that would be really interesting.
This is something we see in X-Men about every single issue, with the Sentinels and them hunting down the X-Men.
Alright, guys, so, what games are we most excited for coming up? Oh, no, wait, skip something. Oh, GTA 5 got delayed again.
So to move back, we're gonna cancel the superhero stuff. So, GTA 5 delayed yet again, to no one's surprise.
Delayed for the third time on PC.
It's going to be such a good game, guys. I can't wait.
You still haven't played it, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Kept it.
Oh, okay. You played it. Reese played it. Okay. I haven't played it. Julian?
No, not yet.
No, okay.
So you've been waiting for it to come out
I just haven't
on PC? Or you haven't had a chance? Okay.
Inquisition has been taking up a lot of my time. But with GTA 5, it's interesting comparing the delays of a port to the delays of a game that has yet to be released on any platform whatsoever. Look at Arkham Knight, where they took 8 months to polish it. I think it was from November to June. 8 months to polish it to make sure that the product was perfect when it finally got launched. GTA 5 has been out. The hype spiked. It's slowly coming down. By delaying it further and further to make it perfect, you are doing Rockstar a disservice because their sales will not be as high. The hype is slightly over.
I totally disagree with that.
Okay.
Completely disagree. GTA 5 is it's up to 45 million units now. Even if it doesn't sell a single unit on PC, it's not going to make any difference. Is that
units shipped versus units sold?
Units sold, and 35 million of those are sold on previous gen.
Yeah, so it sold 10 million on Xbox One and PS4. I think that GTA 5 has the potential to sell 15 to 20 million units on PC.
I mean, people are still playing GTA 4 on Steam with mods.
And back to what I said before, there are a lot of people that didn't play it on console because they have been patiently waiting for it to come out on PC.
And it partly wouldn't surprise me if one of the things they're doing at the moment is they're basically installing mechanisms to stop piracy. It really would not shock me at all if what they're doing is just trying to perfect it so that if you have a pirated copy of the game, it won't work.
I can see them doing something different, like other games have done before, where a pirated copy will fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like something like they will come into the game and then every civilian will just be trying to kill you.
Like there was one game where the screen would gradually start to pixelate and then
Holy
would
shit.
pixelate worse.
What was
and
the game
worse
about?
until you couldn't see it.
There was that meta game about being a video game designer, and if you had a pirated copy of it, part of the in-game thing was that people,
game dev story?
yeah, and people were pirating the copies in-game, and people were complaining about people pirating the game even though they pirated.
And
so,
that had a thing where like the screen would start to turn purple, and
There was another thing where
but Julian made a really interesting point though just before about Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight. Oh my god, cat. Let me grab the door.
cat scratching at the window.
Yeah. Arkham Knight, I don't think was delayed because they were worried about quality. Arkham Knight was not ready to be launched like last year. No way in hell. I think that Arkham Knight was prematurely announced as a way to build up pre-order hype going into it. So I actually have a bit of an issue about this, about games being announced too early. The Division is coming out at some point this year. The Division got announced
2 years ago at E3?
Yeah, 2 E3s ago. And
No, one E3.
No, it was definitely 2 years ago.
2013 it was announced. Because it was before...
Oh, right, it was last E3 we saw it.
Yeah. So the game got announced, 2 E3s ago. Do you think that that's too long for games?
Definitely.
We saw that with Watch Dogs.
You should see... They should show it at E3 the year before it comes out. If it's going to be coming out... If you're going to be showing it at this E3 and then showing it at the next E3, it's too soon.
Yeah.
Depends on the type of game as well, though. For games with a long history and where fans are going to be guaranteed to actually purchase it, look at Metal Gear, look at Final Fantasy, having that 2-year cycle of being announced and then being released, it's good for us gamers, but it's better for Square Enix and
how about we look at
Konami.
it this way? When was it last year at E3 where EA showed test footage for Star Wars Battlefront 3?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that was too soon?
Yeah, but they didn't show anything.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think they should have kept it under wraps for a little while?
They showed concept art of Mass Effect 4. Now that's unnecessary. Because, yes, we know there's going to be another Mass Effect game in the future. But it's too early to put stuff out saying, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. I mean, look at what happened with THQ and all of their properties. I mean, THQ went into massive fire sale, went bankrupt, and lost all their properties and everything they were working on. That's not going to happen with any BioWare or EA companies that are working for EA.
No.
But, when you put the idea out that this is coming, people are going to start to get impatient.
Yeah.
Now, sorry to cut you off, but speaking of E3 and games announced and all that sort of stuff, are there any games that you're really excited for that will be coming out later this year or whatever?
I'm really excited for The Division, only because I'm hoping it will be an evolution to what something like Destiny was, which is that,
except with a storyline?
Oh, shots
Bam.
fired.
It's a Tom Clancy game.
Hey, I hate to say it, but I loved making my own story for Destiny because I was following my destiny within that game.
Because you had to.
No, that was because that was a PR one I wrote for Activision in August.
Speaking of Destiny, I think that's the only performance that Peter Dinklage has done that has been not stellar.
Phoned in.
Excuse me, but
Stella,
those space wizards were from the moon. The moon.
So, okay, we're all fans of the moon here.
Yeah.
What sets Division apart for you?
I like... Okay, let me... I've lost a lot of faith with Ubisoft over what they've done this year. I was very disappointed with Watch Dogs. Far Cry 4 didn't really do it for me. Assassin's Creed, I have no faith in anymore. So I'm a little bit hesitant about getting really behind Ubiquitous Software and what they've been developing. What I like about Ubisoft though is that it's a third-person cover-based shooter RPG, and so it's taking the aspects of Mass Effect that I particularly love and it's putting it in sort of a real open world type environment. So I thought that as a team-orientated shooter, which is my favorite sort of thing, Battlefield, Destiny, it would be similar in concept to what those games were, but in a more Tom Clancy Ghost Recon style.
Ghost Recon.
Yeah. So I'm very excited for that. I mean, other stuff's coming out, Star Wars Battlefront 3, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a game that gets delayed until April 2016. Only because I think that the noise at the end of this year could be so immense that they might just want to skip it. But then again,
But then
have Battlefield 5 coming out, do they? Because Hardline's coming out next week.
Hardline's coming out.
Yeah, so there's not going to be a third shooter.
Here's the thing, though. Do you think that Star Wars Battlefront 3 would be the type of game that they would set a release date and then everyone else would get out of their way?
No, not at all. It's not Call of Duty. It's not Call of Duty. It's not Battlefield. It's the last Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out in 2005.
Yeah.
So the last one came out over a decade ago. That is a massive generation gap.
But you've got to remember that Star Wars has an enormously...
But it doesn't have a high sales rate on console, because if you look at how many Star Wars games have come out in the last decade on console?
Too many.
No.
Not
2
enough.
is the answer.
Hey.
There was The Force Unleashed, and The Force Unleashed 2 were the only Star Wars properties to come out on 360 or the PS3.
Both of which were...
One was great, one was horrible.
No, there's more than that, surely.
No.
Really?
On Xbox 360,
On 360
and
and
PS3, there was Star Wars, Force Unleashed, and Force Unleashed 2. There was nothing else.
Are we counting Kinect Star Wars?
Of
And
course
I
we
know
are.
we-
we're not
we
counting
don't
Lego
want to.
Star Wars as well.
Well, did you
Obviously.
notice how like LucasArts games collapsed shortly after that?
Wow.
So, I mean, again, you've got like the Lego Star Wars games and that sort of stuff, but those are third-party developer type stuff. So, I don't know. I hope that it comes out this year because I really want to play it, but I would not be surprised if, especially with DICE's track record, they don't want to repeat a Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
And if this game is not perfect when it launches, that will not be good for DICE.
Yeah. I mean, Battlefield 4 had such hype, and then it basically bombed.
Yeah, I mean, we could do an entire podcast talking about Battlefield, which we probably will when we get Johannes on here. We have to get over Johannes' shyness for speaking, but we'll work on that, man. We'll work on that.
Start talking about Battlefield and Johannes 4.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Well, I mean, sorry. What else?
Julian, what other games are you excited for this year? Quickly.
Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
Is it actually going to come out this year?
Motherfuckers. Hopefully
Yes.
around June to September. They're aiming for a sort of May to September target. Look, this game, it's probably his most ambitious game, his being Kojima. He has delayed this game multiple times because he keeps getting dwarfed by how big and detailed Grand Theft Auto 5 is. And he's incorporated many world-building elements. Yeah, it's the first time I've actually been excited for the gameplay in a Metal Gear Solid game, because when I think Metal Gear Solid, I think the story, I think the music, I think the characters. Yeah, I know, but I mean, that's Metal Gear for you. I mean, the other parts of the game are so enticing that you forget sometimes that you need to play the actual game. But after playing Ground Zeroes, which gameplay is so fucking fun, it's the first time I've actually said that for a Metal Gear game. This game is going to be immense.
Brendan.
So, just quickly, Xenoblade Chronicles on 3DS. I never got a chance to play the Wii or Wii U versions. The games are amazing, though, from everything I've seen and everything I've heard from people who have played them. Warhammer Eternal Crusade. I was a big Warhammer fan. It's going to be interesting to see if this MMO actually lives. I'm looking forward to Uncharted 4, which I'm surprised Reese hasn't mentioned. Uncharted 4, I'm mainly looking forward to seeing how it's going to transition from one console generation to another. If we're still going to get... Obviously, Uncharted was it was the Hollywood game. It was the movie game, I guess you'd call it.
I was very underwhelmed. I wasn't very underwhelmed by Uncharted 3, but I don't think Uncharted 3 was as good as Uncharted 2.
Of course. Look, Uncharted 1...
2 is an almost perfect game.
The first Uncharted's still going to be my favourite out of all of them, just because it was something so different.
Okay.
There's a Steins Gate game coming out on PS Vita. Any of you that have seen Steins Gate will know why it's kind of looking forward to it.
I take back my previous answer. The game I'm most interested in this year is No Man's Sky. I'm really curious to see if that game lives up to what they're saying it lives up, even just from a technical standpoint.
Yeah.
To see whether or not this style of gameplay could actually go somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
Because if they could, put that concept of world building onto procedural world building onto other games, I think that could be a very interesting thing. Eddie, what are you most excited for?
Look, you may think I'm boring, but I'm a huge
Call of Duty.
No, I enjoy Call of Duty. I get that, and I have plenty of friends that play online.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for Halo 5. I've always been a fan of the Halo series. I've read the books, and I've read some of the graphic novels, and played all the games. And even after the underwhelming performance of the recently released Halo Nightfall, I still think that Halo 5 can deliver. And, yeah,
definitely.
See, I'm hesitant about it because I didn't love Halo 4. I thought Halo 4 was actually quite underwhelming, and I was hoping for something a little bit more out of it.
That is true. Halo 4 did underperform a little bit. But that was because it was 343's first step into the world.
I meant it, in the sense that I used to love the Halo story, and I had no idea what the hell was going on in Halo 4. Okay. And I'm a pretty switched-on bloke, and I was playing that game seriously, and I got to the end, and I'm like, why am I shooting the mech orange angel? What's the hell is going on here?
Now, is Halo Reach still, the standout Halo game?
No,
that's debatable.
See, Halo Reach is my favourite Halo.
Halo Reach is my favourite Halo.
Yeah.
So, that's why I asked.
I would say that 2 or 3 are my favourite Halos.
You only have one.
It goes back and forth. Whereas
Julian?
Halo Reach is my least favourite. Because it had...
No Halos from Julian.
It had...
I liked Reach's ending.
It had a good campaign reach, but it's not just about the campaign. Halo has always been about the campaign and the multiplayer.
Yeah.
But see, for me, that stopped after Halo 2. I didn't particularly like Halo 3 multiplayer.
I loved Halo 3 multiplayer.
That was actually when I transitioned
I loved the new stuff that they brought in with the Halo 3 multiplayer, where it still had the equal starting, where you all started with the same weapons, and then you had to fight to get those power weapons, and you had to fight to get those power-ups. And then with Reach, they brought it in where you could start with... You could put
it turned into a Call of Duty.
It turned into Call of Halo.
But then it came down to a bit more of skill rather than knowing where the items were.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, so last thing we'll talk about before we close up. I want to have a bit of a preliminary chat about E3 this year. Now, last year we had a couple of people over here and we did an all-nighter, which I would like to think...
Again?
Yeah, I'm thinking an all-nighter for 3-3 Julian.
Yeah, it's possible.
I'm excited for it because, like we spoke about last week, how Bethesda are doing a press conference as well now.
Yeah.
We went into great detail last week. Give us a short answer.
Well, great.
Give us a short answer. What are you expecting from Bethesda's press conference?
From Bethesda, obviously, besides Fallout 4. No, actually, no. That's it. That's the only thing I'm expecting from Bethesda conference.
I'm going to say Fallout 4, but I've also been thinking about it. Dishonored 2.
Oh my god! Of course, Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2 over everything else.
Yeah, I would actually rather Dishonored over Fallout. Partly because I don't like Fallout, but more importantly because I thought Dishonored 2. Dishonored was the best game of 2012.
You've got to look at it this way: that there's been rumors floating around for a long time that they've been working on Fallout, and they haven't confirmed them, but they also haven't denied them either. Which means, of course, they're going to make it. But do you think they could have already been working on it for a few years?
They will have been working on it since before Skyrim was released.
And do you think that maybe they'll have the press conference and they'll announce that they're doing it, and then go, oh, by the way, it's coming out end of this year?
I agree with Colin Moriarty. I think that they're going to announce it in June at E3, and it will be out by October. I think it'll be October, maybe November.
But that's not enough hype building.
That's what they did for Fallout 3, and that's what they did with Skyrim.
But
the
stakes weren't as high for Fallout 3.
I would say that Fallout is one of those games.
I beg to differ.
Fallout is one of those games that doesn't need much hype, and also when they announce a release date, if they announce a release date, that is...
It'll be Holiday 20. It'll be Holiday 2015.
Now wait.
If they announce a release date of Holiday 2015, Fallout is one of those games where they will set a date and everyone will get the fuck out of their way.
Now, I'm sorry, but Fallout 3 was announced at Gamescom, and then 3 months later, it was announced that, right, here is our actual release date. Now, the Fallout 3, Julian said there wasn't much writing on it. I think there was, because Fallout had been dead for 12 years. Fallout Brotherhood Tactics was the last Fallout game we saw, and it was shit. Compared to Fallout 1, and I mean, Fallout 2 was average. But there was so much writing on this that it was more the announcement between Fallout 3 and New Vegas, where they came out and said, hey, we're making Fallout New Vegas. That came out within 3 months, and it was shit.
One more thing. I know we're getting close to the time and we need to wrap up, but do you think that they could possibly be working on remakes of Fallout 1 and 2? Because there aren't...
No, not at all.
Not a chance.
Not at all.
They can't remake Fallout 1 and 2 for a start, because Obsidian still own the licenses to Fallout 1 and 2, as well as the old a Fallout MMO. So.
And stuff like that. They'll be like remaking the Elder Scroll games. There's no point in it because there's such a reiteration. There's such a refinement.
People have been clamoring for a remake of Morrowind. It's like, well,
you got it in Oblivion and Skyrim.
You got it in... Yeah, you've got it in the Elder Scrolls Online.
These games are so immense and so complicated that it's it's not just a matter of... No, I don't think they'll be doing that. All right, Eddie, do you want to wrap this up for us?
He's like, no.
With a rap. You need to actually break down into a rap right now.
Because I'm Eddie, yo, and I want you to know.
Beat. So this has been the Greendale Crew podcast number 1. Thank you for listening.
We hope you continue to listen.
I'm Eddie.
I'm Julian.
Caramel Bear.
Brendan, sayonara. See you later.
And I'm Reese. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good night.